And in the United States, we mostly have these conventions that are hosted by chapters. This year, it was our Ohio chapter who really wanted to do this. So, we weren't sure about it because I don't think we had been in this part of the United States before. We've been in Washington, D.C., we've been in Silicon Valley, we've been in L.A., we've been in Chicago, and I think this area is really important, especially for the history of Dayton and where it all began, which really inspired our poster about reaching higher and the invention of powered flight. So we're really privileged to honor Dayton, Ohio, and we're really privileged to work with the Ohio team, and I'd like to ask them to come up and receive their award for all the work that they did to make a really fantastic convention for you and our members. Thank you. Please come up. Yeah. We actually got an award that is in the shape of Ohio.
We and Wilbur and Orville, thank you.
Thank you so much for paying attention, and to all our thanks that you all came, and thanks.
Yeah, thanks to all the volunteers and the organizations that helped us out. They're really tremendous. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for making this a great convention. It was a pleasure for us to put it together, and I'm glad it was such a meaningful and great convention. Thank you.
They did most of the legwork to contact most of the local vendors that you saw, and also they're mostly responsible for all the wonderful interactive and educational and outreach organizations that were here today for Mars Camp. So really, they made Mars Camp happen. We want to honor someone who has been with us for a decade. He has been our Mars Medical Director for MDRS, and they're actually a team, really. It's the Zarnicks, but we're going to honor today Tam Zarnick, who's been our Mars Medical Director of the decade. Please have him come up and thank him for all the work that he's done for MDRS. It says, for his 10 years of dedication and service to the crews of the Mars Desert Research Station and the Flashline Mars Arctic Research Station, we honor you, Dr. Tam Zarnick. Thank you.
Unaccustomed as I am to public speaking, thank you very much.
So I talked about them being a team, and so he has a counterpart, Pat Zarnick, and really she's a woman in our organization that wears many hats, and I really want to honor her because this is my first convention as acting executive director, and I could never have done this convention without her help and her vast experience. And we originally thought that Oregon State University was going to be in the rover, so we could have the rover up here, perhaps bring her award to her. We tried to contact NASA Glenn. Hopefully we could get an astronaut to come over and bring her award. But instead, we found a couple of future Marsonauts to come up and bring her award, and they're going to come through the door right now, so come on up. And Pat, if you'd come on up, we'd love to honor you today. Pat has gotten many awards over the years, but this time we thought we would honor her with sort of a spa care package. For a massage or whatever she wants to get. It's the Inspiration Spa package in her area of, she came here from Grand Forks, North Dakota to do this for her. So these future Marsonauts are going to present her with her award. Thank you, Pat. We love you, Pat.
Wow. Wow, thank you guys, really. That's totally unexpected, Lucinda. Thank you so very much. And there couldn't, it beats a plaque, I promise. It's really my pleasure. I really enjoy trying to make the conferences and everything else go very smoothly in the Mars Society and make it as seamless as possible for you, and hope you really enjoy it. I enjoy talking to you all and reading your emails and just interacting with you. So thank you for allowing me to help you enjoy this and do my bit to try to get humans to Mars. Thank you.
Well, of course, this organization would not be here if it wasn't for a very passionate man who came up with the idea of Mars Direct and why we're all here today supporting the Human to Mars cause. And I'd like to give him an opportunity to give us some last words. And please welcome Dr. Robert Zimmerman.
Okay. Yeah, and not to be redundant, but I do want to reiterate the thanks to the Ohio chapter and to Pat and to Lucinda for pulling together this really very successful event. I think it's been a very high-quality conference, and I think everyone would agree with that. And these things don't happen by themselves. So I'm going to talk about a bunch of things, but before I get into the serious stuff, I want to start on the light side. A Mars Society member, Leo O'Drudy, who couldn't come, sent me by express mail to this conference this magazine. And I figured out why. So this is a copy of Popular Science from May 1958. Okay. So it is after Sputnik, but 3 years before Kennedy's speech launching the moon program, almost exactly 3 years before Kennedy's speech launching the moon program. And the cover story is, U.S. scientist sets timetable to the moon. And as a top U.S. astronomer, I am Levitt. He's got the plan to get us to the moon by the year 2000. And now the plan, of course, proceeds in a number of prudent, responsible steps. You don't want to just go straight to the moon. There's precursor missions are necessary. The first precursor mission that is essential before we send humans to the moon is to explode an atomic bomb on the moon. I am not making this up. This is critical because with exploding the atomic bomb on the moon, number one, everyone on Earth will be able to see it, and thus it will confirm that we did hit the moon. And number two, it will flash a lot of lunar material into incandescence, and astronomers with spectroscopic instruments will be able to determine the elemental composition of the lunar soil, which obviously you want to do before you send astronauts to the moon. Okay, so that's the first step. The second step is to follow this mission up in logical sequence with another mission, which will include one craft that delivers another atomic bomb to the moon, but it's flying in convoy with the second craft, which will fly through the plume, collect the dust that has been ejected from the moon, capture some of it, and return it to Earth. And this will allow us to get a much better assessment of the elemental composition of the moon. Okay, so this could be done by 1975. Okay. Okay. Then, After that, we will build a space station, which is necessary to assemble on orbit and refuel on orbit with the orbital fuel depot the lunar spaceship, which will be nuclear powered and which will get to the moon by the year 2000. So there you have it. I mean, it's quite clear that it would be absolutely irresponsible to send astronauts to the moon without first at least exploding 2 atomic bombs on the moon. Okay, at a minimum. Okay, so it is a phased program which gets us to the moon in just 42 years. Okay, so about as far in the future, viewed from 1958, as the year 2052 is to us. Okay, so you can see that in many respects, human thinking has not changed. Okay, there is always a great deal of preparatory missions that can be thought up before you do the task at hand. So I'll actually come back to this because it's not completely irrelevant, as you may realize. But I want to talk a little bit about, well, first I'm going to talk just about some things. Okay, the Mars Society has got a big job on our hands. We got to put Mars on the agenda, okay, in a serious way. Until that happens, it will always be 42 years in the future. 3 years after this article was published, the president got up and he said, we're going to be on the moon in 8 years. Or else. Is what we got to do. And they did, okay? And while we may have a president today that says, yes, we should go to Mars, you know, by mid-century, that could change. 3 years from now, the imperative could be completely changed. It's a question of politics and will. And that which seems to be off in the indefinite future, yes, of course, it's a goal someday after we explode 2 atomic bombs on Mars. Okay, it can be changed. Things can be changed, but someone's got to change them. And that's our job. Now, we're doing a number of things. We run these desert stations and the Arctic station, both to do science, but also to reach the public, to put before them the vision of human Mars exploration. Okay, because while the science that we do at the station is valuable, we are learning what will work on Mars and what will not. Ultimately, that research won't get us to Mars. What's going to get us to Mars is a political decision to make it happen. That means we've got to keep throwing it in people's face. This is the challenge. This is the challenge that has been staring NASA in the face since 1973, when we left off from the moon. Okay? This is the challenge. This is the challenge you cannot ignore. Okay? This is, if you have a manned space program, it needs to have a destination. It needs to have a destination worthy of a $20 billion a year space program. Okay? And that is not to go nowhere, and it's not to go back to the moon a half century after we were there the first time. It is to open up new worlds to human hands, human minds, human eyes, human ingenuity. Okay? And the closest new world, the one that has on it all the resources needed to.
So if you're interested in getting a small cup, please help yourself, and then please sit right back down so we can continue on with this evening. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, we're going to start with a few more door prizes. Take one. Pick one. Just put. Don't look. Okay. Okay, this number is for Dr. Zubrin's How to Live on Mars, and he will sign this for you.